My name is Daniel Hayes. I'm 35 years old, and this is my story. As I sit here inside this cold, lifeless prison cell, the echoes of betrayal follow me everywhere. People believe prison is filled with iron bars, screaming inmates, and endless nights of regret. But for me, the real prison was the silence of my own mother. They say a mother's love is unconditional. That no matter what the world says, she will always protect her child. But in my case, it was the opposite. My mother's silence, her refusal to speak the truth, became the reason I was locked away. Do you know what hurts the most? It's not the beatings, not the chains, not the walls. It's the thought that the woman who gave me life chose to watch mine being destroyed. I wasn't always a prisoner. Once, I was just Daniel, a boy who believed his mother was his guardian angel. I remember those mornings when she used to wake me up for school. The smell of coffee and toasted bread filled our little kitchen. She would smile at me and say, "Danny, remember, honesty is the only thing no one can take from you." Her words shaped my childhood. I grew up believing truth was sacred, that my mother was the purest soul alive. And that's why the betrayal cut deeper than any knife. It happened on a rainy night. I was walking home from my job at a small hardware store. The streets were almost empty, except for a commotion near Mr. Wallace's jewelry shop. The glass was shattered. Sirens in the distance. And suddenly, two men in black hoodies ran past me, one carrying a bag that clinked with stolen jewels. I froze. My instincts screamed to call for help, but before I could move, one of them bumped into me. The bag dropped for a second. He glared at me, then ran off into the darkness. Seconds later, the police arrived. And there I was, standing near the broken store, bag at my feet. I tried to explain. I begged them to believe me. But the witnesses were gone. The robbers vanished. And the only evidence, that cursed bag lying beside me. I thought, it's fine. Mom will tell them. She saw me leave home at the time. She knows I wasn't there. But destiny had something else written. The courtroom smelled of old wood and judgment. I sat there, heart pounding, as the prosecutor painted me as a criminal mastermind. Then came the moment I had been waiting for, the witness stand. My mother. I looked at her with hopeful eyes. She just had to tell the truth, that I left home before the robbery even happened, that I couldn't possibly be there. But when the judge asked her, "Mrs. Hayes, did your son leave before or after the incident?" She hesitated. Her lips trembled. And then she said the words that shattered my life. I don't remember. The silence in the room was louder than any scream. I couldn't believe it. My own mother, the woman who had always taught me about honesty, had chosen not to save me. Why? Was it fear of the police? Fear of society? Or was it something darker? The verdict was quick. Life imprisonment. As they dragged me away, I shouted, "Mom, tell them, please. You know the truth." But she just sat there, tears in her eyes, lips sealed shut. And that was the moment my world collapsed. The prison gates clanged shut behind me. Cold, merciless eyes followed me as I walked past hardened criminals. Some smirked, others whispered. But none of their stares haunted me as much as the memory of my mother looking away. That first night, lying on the thin mattress, I stared at the ceiling and asked myself the same question over and over. Why didn't she speak? Was I protecting her reputation? Was I the sacrifice she chose to keep her own name clean? The thought burned me more than the prison walls ever could. And so here I am, serving life for a crime I never committed. All because my mother couldn't tell the truth. But what I didn't know back then was that the truth had layers, and the darkest part of it was yet to be revealed. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and before I knew it, years were swallowing me whole. Prison changes people. Some harden, some break, and some just fade away quietly. But me, I was trapped somewhere in between. I would wake up to the sound of clanging bars, the smell of sweat and steel, and a constant reminder that my freedom had been stolen. But what haunted me more than anything was not the chains. It was my mother's silence. Every day, I asked myself, why didn't she defend me? Why did she let me take the fall for something I didn't do? They say prison gives you time to think. For me, it gave me time to hurt. It didn't take long for me to realize that prison is its own jungle. Survival isn't about strength, it's about alliances. One night, while I was reading a torn Bible page in my cell, 3 men stepped inside. Their eyes weren't kind. One of them, a tall man with tattoos across his neck, sneered at me. "You look too clean, new guy. Too soft." Before I could react, fists flew. My ribs cracked under the pressure. My vision blurred. And all I could think of, lying in my own blood, was, even here, I'm being punished for something I never did. But then, a strange thing happened. From the corner, a voice cut through the chaos. "That's enough." It was Raymond, an older inmate, rumored to have survived 20 years inside without ever bending to anyone. His presence alone was enough to make the attackers back off. He knelt beside me, handed me a rag, and whispered, "Kid, you don't belong here. But if you want to survive, you better learn the rules." I nodded weakly. That night, for the first time, I realized that not everyone inside was my enemy. Some understood what betrayal felt like. Months later, a guard handed me a letter. My heart raced as I saw the handwriting. My mother's. Hands trembling, I opened it, desperate for answers. But her words were short. "Daniel, I pray for you every night. I'm sorry. Sorry. That's it." No explanation. No confession. Just a word that stabbed deeper into my wounds. I tore the letter apart. If she truly prayed for me, why didn't she speak when it mattered? A year later, I saw her. Through the thick glass of the visiting room. Her hair had more gray than I remembered. Her eyes looked tired, almost haunted. "Mom," I whispered, pressing the phone to my ear. "Why didn't you tell them? Why didn't you say the truth?" Her lips trembled. "Danny, you wouldn't understand." I clenched my fists. "Then make me understand. I'm dying in here every day because you kept silent." She cried silently, shaking her head. Some truths destroy more lives than lies ever could. I slammed the receiver down. My chest burned with anger and grief. What truth could be so dangerous that my own mother chose to sacrifice me? Life behind bars got harsher. I learned to fight back, to stand tall. But inside, I was crumbling. Nights were filled with nightmares, my mother's voice echoing, her silence suffocating me. Sometimes I'd wake up screaming. Other times, I'd just stare at the ceiling, whispering to myself, "One day, I'll know why she did this." Raymond would often sit beside me and say, "Don't lose yourself, kid. If you let hatred eat you, you'll die before your time." But he didn't know, hatred was the only thing keeping me alive. One night, while mopping the prison hall, I overheard 2 guards talking. "Poor guy. Doesn't even know the real reason his mom stayed quiet." My blood froze. Real reason. I wanted to ask. I wanted to scream. But instead, I stayed silent, because for the first time, I realized my mother's betrayal wasn't just silence. It was hiding something. Something big. And that was when a dangerous thought entered my mind. If the truth won't come to me, I'll tear it out, piece by piece. So I waited. I endured. I built myself in the shadows of this prison. Because one day, I would walk out of these walls. And when I did, I would confront the woman who gave me life, and ask her why she chose to destroy mine. But I had no idea. The truth waiting for me outside was darker than anything I had imagined. If you think betrayal by strangers is painful, wait until you hear what a mother's betrayal can do to a son. Stay with me, because the truth is about to cut deeper than any prison blade. After 12 long years, the gates finally opened for me. The air outside tasted different, fresh, almost sharp, like freedom had a flavor. But I wasn't free. Not truly. The chains were gone, but the questions still shackled me. I had only one thought. I needed answers. And those answers were locked inside the heart of the woman who once kissed me goodnight, and later stayed silent when I needed her most. I walked into my old neighborhood. Everything had changed. New shops, new faces. But the same old house stood at the corner. My house. Her house. When she opened the door, her eyes widened. Shock. Fear. Relief. All at once. "Daniel," she whispered, tears welling instantly. I stepped in, my voice shaking. "No, Mom. Not today. Today, you don't get to cry. Today, you tell me why." She trembled. "Please, don't make me relive it." Relive it. I lived it every second for 12 years. You think your silence was mercy? It was a death sentence. Her hands covered her face. She shook her head violently. And then, she whispered the truth that shattered me all over again. She finally spoke. "It wasn't you they wanted, Danny. It was your sister." I froze. My blood turned cold. "What did you just say?" She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "Your sister was the one who got caught up with those men. She was the one they suspected. If I told them the truth, she would have gone to prison. And she would have never survived. So I stayed silent, and let them take you instead." My knees buckled. My whole world spun. "You let your own son rot, to save her name?" She wailed. "I thought you were stronger. I thought you could survive." She wouldn't have made it, Danny. I slammed my fist on the table. "You destroyed me, Mom. You destroyed me. And for what? To protect her reputation? Her comfort? You didn't just choose her over me. You killed me every day for 12 years. 4 days, I couldn't think. Every second, her words burned deeper. My sister lived freely while I withered behind bars. A part of me wanted revenge. To make them all feel what I felt. I even followed my sister one night, watching her laugh in a cafe, her life untouched, her smile innocent as if my suffering never existed. Rage boiled inside me. My fists clenched. But then, I remembered Raymond's words inside the prison. "Don't let hatred eat you, kid. If you do, you'll die before your time." I stood there, breathing heavily, tears in my eyes. Would hurting her bring me back those stolen years? Or would it chain me forever in another kind of prison? I returned to my mother's house. She sat in the same chair, waiting, guilt carved into her face. I stood before her, trembling. "I wanted to destroy you. Both of you. But then I realized, if I let revenge control me, I'll never truly be free." Her eyes widened, hopeful yet broken. Danny. I shook my head. No. Don't. You don't get forgiveness. Not now. Maybe not ever. But I'm choosing to live. For me. Not for you. Not for her. For me. I turned away, tears falling silently. That day, I walked out of her house not as her son, but as a man carrying his own broken pieces, determined to build a new life. Life stole 12 years from me. My mother's silence carved scars that will never heal. But here's what I learned. Betrayal from strangers cuts deep, but betrayal from blood? It shatters your soul. And yet, we still have a choice. To let that betrayal define us, or to rise above it. I may never forgive my mother. I may never trust my sister. But I will not waste the life I have left chained to their choices. Because in the end, survival isn't just about breathing. It's about deciding who you refuse to become. So if you're listening to my story, remember this. Never assume silence is love. And never let someone else's betrayal write the rest of your life. If this story touched you, don't forget to share it. Because somewhere out there, someone else is fighting battles they never chose.